Hey everyone, Hammad here. Welcome to my channel, Cloud with Hammad, DIY Cloud Learning to Inspire. For today, our AWS Cloud series, I will be using CI/CD pipeline to deploy a static HTML website. During the process, I will create a CI/CD pipeline using AWS CodeStar, and then use that pipeline to deploy a new version of website automatically. By the end of the lab, you should understand what CI/CD pipeline is, as well as the basic of how to set one up and push an update to a source code repository to trigger a new deployment. Now, before we get into our lab, if you're new to my channel, please subscribe, like, and share with friends. I would really appreciate that. Now, without further delay, let's go to our notes. All right, guys, welcome back to my notes. This is basically a pretty simple, straightforward, I would say 10 to 15 minutes video. Our agenda for today is we will actually use a pre-built code. We'll use an AWS service called CodeStar, and this is basically where it says build, develop, and deploy the whole code. So let's say if you are a user, you would put your code in there, and it's the AWS code build will build the code, and it will deploy using CI/CD pipeline into a machine, EC2 machine. I mean, you can have Elasticsearch and different applications, but I'm using just a plain example to show you how you can deploy the code. So for agenda for today would be to create a CI/CD pipeline using AWS Cloud Services, which is AWS CodeStar, and then we'll basically automatically use that CI/CD pipeline to deploy the website. After that, we'll make some changes to the code, and then we'll do a commit again. And then once we do a commit again, it's going to take another 2-3 minutes to redeploy the whole code, and it will show you a different website. So without further delay, let's go right into deploying the solution here. Thank you. All right, guys, so we are back into AWS Management Console. As you can see, I already have CodeStar open. You can type in up here CodeStar, and it's going to pull up the same page. I'm going to click here for a second and show you the main page for CodeStar. This is where you will quickly develop, build, and deploy application in AWS. So if you have a code, just put it in through CI/CD pipeline. You can deploy an application on through this. So first thing first, we'll just hit create project. Once you get to create project, this is the first time you log in, it's going to ask you create service role. It's just like a service principal role. So what it says is AWS CodeStar user and IAM service role to manage resource on behalf. You must create a service role in order to create and delete projects. So I would just hit here. If this is the first time, what's going to happen is it will create a AWS CodeStar service role. It will be ready in a second. So in the meantime, I'm going to show you how this works. Once you get here, it's going to ask you, it has a pre-built template that you can use. It has hello world skills, Python, Express.js, Node.js. They have tons of this application. What we'll do is for this one, we'll just use HTML application, static website. It's going to use EC2 instance to deploy the website. So once we come up here, we'll select this one, and then we'll hit next. At this time, we'll just we can get the code from GitHub repository, or we can use our own code to commit. First thing first, we'll just give a name. I would say project pipeline, and then actually project pipeline, and then same thing, it just comes up with a repository name. And for this, we'll just use EC2 micro. VPC is here, subnet is automatically create. If you're creating it for the first time, I think I would just say go ahead and create a key pair. So you can click on, and so one thing that we should have done is we should have created a key pair first, so that we don't have to go through this. So if I just refresh, it should pop up automatically, but it's not there because we haven't created the key pair. For that, we'll just go to EC2. Once you log into EC2, we can come all the way here and select key pair. For key pair, we would need a key pair, but we won't be using that key pair because we're not logging in for now. But this function requires you to have a key pair. I would say pipeline. And then doesn't matter, is it PEM or PPK, create key pair. I would download, and then I would close this. I don't need it right now. I would go back, and if I do refresh, it should pop up here as a pipeline, because that's the key pair it's going for. It says, you check this box. It says, I acknowledge that I have access to P pair, which we did right now. And then once we get here, it says, hey, what's first step is to choose the template, which we did. We had HTML application, a framework, a static website, EC2, detail of the project pipeline. First thing is repository provider is code commit, and then project name, EC2 configuration, and we will hit create project. What it's going to do is it's going to start creating the pipeline. You can click up here. It's going to create as you can see on the screen, it says project provisioning. AWS Code Start is setting up your project resources. This may take several minutes. So once we come here, we click onto IDE. For now, we're just going to use, we already have, what we'll do is once we get deployed the website, we're going to come here and make changes to the code so that I can show you how I can do that. So click on repository. Once you click on repository, it's going to show you what's happening at the back end. So once again, information, we will soon show pipeline here. One more thing I would say, if you want to look at the AWS Cloud Formation, so it's using AWS Cloud Formation to deploy the machine, EC2 and its code stacks. So you can see this is creating in progress, stack ID with all the location events. These are the events that it is creating. It created a web app role. Code build project, so it's still creating web app role policy. So it's going through these process to deploy the website. So once you hit the code star, you name the project, and then you either get the repository from GitHub, or you can also provide your location of the repository to use the code. In this matter, what we did was we actually used a pre-built repository code from the repository, which was like HTML code. So it's still deploying. I am going to pause the video and come back once this is completely deployed. All right, guys, we're still deploying. It is still 18 minutes into the deployment. The first time we hit to create a deployment. Now it's almost done. I wanted to show you a couple of stuff here. It's still saying code start is setting up project resources, but in the meantime, let me come here for a second and show you the cloud formation that it did. So these are the activities that it performed. As you can see, it created a complete, started 7:12, and it actually updated at 12:13. It's still happening. Events, it took you can see these are still in progress. Code start pipeline, resource, creating web app security group, pipeline infrastructure. So these are the stuff that it's been used to deploy that code into creating a website. Code start resources, EC2 instance, it deployed security group for EC2 instance, so that you can, most probably this is HTTP 8080. Output still not showing up. Parameters, you can see AMI image that it used. Key pair pipeline, this is what we have done, and so far we already know this. In the code star, you can come up here and pipeline, and it shows actually the meat of this whole lab. It says that, hey, you know what, where was the source? We use code commit, and it built, and then it deployed, and once it deploys, it took roughly 20 minutes to deploy the website. I'm going to get to deployment in a second, as it says that it's been deployed using code deploy. You can click here on the monitoring. It would give you the status of the EC2 machine. As you can see, it's still running. Most probably not enough data here because we just started the machine. You can see there is CPU utilization, network pinging, and network output. Also overview, we already have went through. Over here, what we do is, this is like you can edit your code onto the cloud, as well as you can look at your project activity as to it says succeeded. So the next thing is we will come here, and on this page we'll hit view application. It's there, it says that you have, congratulations, you have deployed the HTML5 web application. So this is how you would deploy a pre-built HTML website using CI/CD pipeline. Next thing, what we do is let's make some changes and have CI/CD automatically pick up that change and make changes to the website. That actually is the exercise. So for that, I would come here, IDE, and that I would just click on access to your project code. As we know that we already had used a AWS Code Commit for project code. If you have something on AWS Cloud, these are your tools on the browser, and this is your locally, I mean, Visual Studio for Windows, Eclipses, and command line. I have used this as well. It is an amazing tool to use, but for now we'll just use AWS Code Commit. We'll click up here, and once we click here, it's going to open up the whole file, the HTML file and the script. So what we'll do is, this is actually tells you the readme MD file. I think this is also sort of GitHub readme file. You can click here to see the source. And what we'll do is we'll look up here, we'll come here onto the web page, and I think HTML file is in there. Yeah, there it is. So I would click on index.html. Once we get here, this is the code for the entire website that we're looking up here. So we will look for some changes. Let's do some changes here. So let's do this here. So this is to show you how we can make changes, and we will just, once we save it, it would automatically go back to redeploying it. So click here. I would come back here. I would say, congratulations, Cloud with Hammad, and you have just created HTML web application. Actually, you have updated, not created, which we already have created. So let's do, you have updated HTML web application using CI/CD pipeline, code star. So once we do that, actually it's one word, and just put in your name, Hammad. This is every time you make changes, AWS Cloud @gmail.com. It's just like, you know, committing on the GitHub repository, where once you make an update, you put in your information so that there's a timestamp in the system that, hey, who made the changes, this is what it is. So once I made the changes on the code, I put my name so that it's in the system. What I'll do is I'll hit this code commit. Once I hit this code commit, what's going to happen next is it's going to go back and redeploy, make some changes on the code. So it says web page has been committed to master, which is the the repository, master repository. Click here, and you can see that just now I make an update on the repository. Once I click onto code commit, I actually click onto build history, and you can see that it's another build is in progress. Build 1 was already done. If you ever done Jenkins, you would know that, you know, every time you make an update, it would automatically log into build 1, build 2, build 3. So this is build 2, where I showed you how I made changes to the code, and I hit commit. It's going to go back and update the repository as well as the website. Okay, that one is succeeded. Let's go and check out pipelines. Once we get to pipeline on your left, everything is here in code build. So you click on pipeline. Once you click on pipeline, it says it's still in progress. So if I go further in, it shows what's the status of that pipeline is. First, the code was submitted, succeeded, build was succeeded. Now it's deploying. So it's still using AWS Cloud Formation, and it's going to deploy, make changes to the code. It succeeded too. So it's making changes on the execution side, and then it's going to deploy. Okay, so while it's still deploying, let's go to source code. I'm going to show you a couple of more places. So if I go into source and I hit repository, this is going to show you the 2 commits that we made. Actually, let's go to commits. And then you can see there are 2 commits that were made. One by this is AWS code, and the second one was done by me, where I make changes to the website. And once I hit the commit, it created another commit. So this is a place where you can also check. It's just like master branches. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll just wait for this to take place. Once this is completed, we are good to go to deploy. Well, it's already deploying. In the meantime, we're just going to wait for it to make some changes to the website. All right, so I am back in my code star where it says it's deployed. So I'm going to just making sure pipeline. Yep, it says succeeded. So I'm going to click on my application, and there you go. So you can see that, hey, you know what? This is changed as we committed and my name. So this is how you would make changes to your code, and you commit that code. It was going to create another, it's going to go back to the pipeline. It's going to make another build, and it's going to display this. So that will be it for today's demo. Please subscribe, like, and share. Until next time, have a great day.